Hello friends, welcome to my channel The Risk Management Research. I'm Sonjai Kumar and today I am bringing the video on the three lines of defense and the risk management. Today I am going to talk on the importance of the three lines of defense in the application of risk management or an enterprise risk management. This is an important topic when it comes to application of enterprise risk management and how does the enterprise risk management get implemented via the three lines of defense model. Let's see. So let's understand first the importance of the three lines of defense. Let's go back to the fundamentals and look at the enterprise risk management is about the application of risk management across the organization. This is the starting point. The starting point says that the enterprise risk management is about the application of risk management across the organization. This ERM or the enterprise risk management is different from the silo risk management which was earlier used to be performed. Silo risk management is being performed by few departments such as underwriting, claims, liquidity risk management, like that. But in the enterprise risk management, the entire organization perform the risk management activity. So in order to perform the risk management activities across the organization, there should be a model so that it is implemented fully across the organization. So here all the employees are involved in performing the risk management activities. The critical risk management activities are basically, as I have already discussed in some of my previous videos, that the key risk management activities are risk identification, risk measurement, risk mitigation, and risk monitoring and risk reporting. So this is the process of the risk management activities that is being performed by every organization, those who are doing the risk management activity. So how will the ERM activity be operationalized within the organization so that it is across it? This is operationalized by applying the three lines of defense model. So what is this, the three lines of defense model, so that the risk management process is applied across the organization? What it does is the three lines of defense segregates the workforce into the three sections. There is no demarcation in terms of that how does the people sit, but it has been segregated in terms of in which areas people are working. So first, all the employees working, excluding the risk people and the compliance people. So all the employees, for example, marketing, sales, HR, investment, finance, all the employees belongs to the first line of defense. The second line of defense involve risk management employees and the compliance employees. And the third line of defense include the audit employees. So this is the segregation of employees across the organization in terms of the first line, the second line, and the third line. This has been done there so that the risk management is applied across the organization. We shall see in the next slide that how it will be performed or how it is performed. The first line of defense, the second line of defense, the third line of defense. The first line is the business line management. The second line is risk management. The third line is internal audit. And what does the first line do? Business line management are primarily responsible for managing its own process. So the first thing is that they have to manage their own process. They have to do their core activities. The sales people is to sell the business. The marketing people is to market it up. So it is their core business that they have to do. Simultaneously responsible for identifying and controlling the risk by using business control framework, implement internal process and adequate controls. So not only they have to do their own work, but they have also to identify the risk and control the risk. They have to apply the mitigation measures to control the risk. That is what is expected from the first line of defense, and that is how the enterprise risk management comes into the picture, when basically the first line get into the business of the risk management. And that is why the first line of defense people are called the primary risk managers. They are the risk manager, not the second line of defense. So what is the second line of defense? The second line of defense is, this is the risk management function, is responsible for setting enterprise risk management framework. One of their roles is to set the risk management framework. Independent reporting to the management board and audit committees. So first they own the risk management framework, risk management policies, and they report to the board. We shall see later in slides more in detail the roles of first and second line of defense. Another is that review and challenge, risk training, hold hand holding the first line. The third line is basically the audit function. Internal audit provides assurance about the design and effectiveness of first and second line of defense. Reporting line to the management and audit committee, advisory role to improve the process. So the third line of defense is basically to report to the board, to basically inform that how does the first and second line is basically performing the risk management activities. Therefore, proper functioning of the three line of defense is essential for embedding the enterprise risk management. Now it can be seen and understood that it is essential that the application of to have the enterprise risk management, so that it is applied across the organization, the first line start performing. If first line is not performing the risk management activities, then enterprise risk management is going to crumble down. Let's look at the key roles slightly more in detail about the first line of defense and understand that what is the expectation from them. If you look at the business objectives, all the business objectives in any organizations are owned by the first line. So all the targets, all the business objectives, they are the owners, and those business objectives, the business plans are being approved by the board, whether it is a sales and distribution, or it is marketing, or it is investment, or any other function. So they are the owners of all the key objectives. The first line key role is to meet the business objective, because that's where they bring the revenue. They bring the revenue. They basically let happen the business across the whole year. So now the question comes that when they are doing the key activities, there must be uncertainty when they are doing that activity. There could be a risk that they may not able to meet those objectives. So how to meet the business objective? So they must identify the risk that may impede the achievement of the objective and the business plan. So whatever the core activity that they are doing, they should not only have to do that, but also anticipate that what risk it can come, so that it may impede, it may not allow to achieve the achievement, to may not allow achieve the objective for that particular year. So first line is basically a subject matter experts, and they are best placed knowing in their field what uncertainties can come in the way. This is an important point, because the risk management people, they are not subject matter experts, and therefore from the risk management people it is not expected that they are knowing all the functions. The each functions that the each of the functions people, those who are working, they are the subject matter experts, and they are best placed to identify the risk that it has, and therefore it is expected from them to identify the risk. Therefore, the role of the first line is not only to achieve the business objective, but also to identify risk that can come in the way. That is why first line is a frontline army with a dual role. This is very important point to understand, that the first line is basically a risk manager, and they have to do the risk management activity. So if this is implemented, then half of the job of the risk management is done. Now let's look at what is the role of the second line of defense. The second line own risk management framework and policies. As I stated earlier, they implement a risk management program and give risk management training. So fundamentally, they own the risk management program across the organization. It is their roles and responsibilities to implement it, to make sure that the risk management framework and the policies that have been approved by the board are implemented across the organization. They do not have, they do not own any business objectives. Out of the any business objectives which are given to the first line, they are not the owners. Therefore the onerous of achieving the business objective is not onto the second line of defense, it is onto the first line of defense. So the second line of defense should not be penalized if the business does not achieve those objectives. The role of the second line of defense is to provide oversight on the risk identified by the first line, provide suggestion and help to address them. So their role is basically to help the first line when they are identifying and mitigating the risk, that whether they have done it correctly or not, because second line are risk management experts and they understand the nitty gritties of the risk management policies, the risk management tools and techniques, and they have to help the first line. If there are any problems, they have to also provide an oversight. They have also to review all the risks that first line has done. Their job is not to do the risk management activity, but to review the activity. There is a difference between doing the job and reviewing the job. Their role is to review the job, give suggestions onto the mitigation plan. They have to suggest what is the mitigation plan. If first line don't agree, they can raise a challenge that we don't agree with the mitigation plan that you have created, and risk people can raise it in the risk management committee. Second line is to communicate the risk to the risk management committee, senior management, board and the regulator. That is their role, to basically to communicate with the risk management, what the first line of defense is doing. Monitor the risk, perform the role of a risk custodian by preparing the risk policies, risk governance, managing CXOs and the board. That's what the role of the second line is. However, now comes the big however. This is what so far have been the theory is. What is being expected to be done from the first and second line. The reality is far from this, as most of the risk management job is performed by the second line of defense and not by the first line of defense. This is the irony of it. And this is a big hindrance in applying the three line of defense model. Let's look at what are the challenges in the application of three lines of defense model, and I have given the name of holes in the three lines of defense. What are the challenges when we talk about the three lines of defense model? This model is not working properly, and one of the key reason of no so effective risk management are the following. So this model is not performing well. It is not just in India but across the world, because there have been many research papers, articles have been written on the implementation of the risk management application through the three lines of defense, and the challenges are still being observed. The first line is the frontline army, currently without much risk understanding. This is the first challenge, that they don't have without enough risk understanding. And why it is so? Most of the frontline army is without the risk management education. Most of the MBA programs do not have risk management as the core subject. So most of the MBA programs, not just in India but across the world, do not have the risk management as a core subject. Now think about it, that in the corporate world, it is working on the concept of three lines of defense. The first line is being inducted as the army of the risk managers, and the risk managers coming from the business schools, they do not have the core subject of the risk management. How it is expected that the three-liner defense will be successful? This is, one of the challenges and the gaps between the academia and the business, academia and the practice or in the industry. And this gap need to be filled as soon as possible if this model or the enterprise risk management model is to be implemented sooner than later. Though some MBA courses have started as an elective subject. Recently, I was going through the internet across and tried to search that how many institutions in India are basically having an risk management program, and I was really surprised to see it's handful of institution those who are doing risk management program as the full time. They are handful in number, and I'm sure the handful of people are getting out. Uh, Most of the MBA institutions don't have as their risk management program. Some are coming out with their MDP risk management program of 2 days once in a while, and this is the current state of the army that is getting inducted within the Indian corporates without the knowledge of the risk management, and that is what the challenge is. The first line is not to be blamed, and that is why I'm saying that the first line is not to be blamed. The one reason is that ERM is only 2 decades old. ERM started around 2020, and it may take some time before risk management become part of the core curriculum. So still in 20 years time, I've also gone through the risk management curriculum international markets, and the position is not even better. Therefore, the first line is to be trained. Now, when the MBA programs or the business programs are not getting or is not having the risk management program, then the first line is to be trained and make them understand the second part of the role as a risk manager. And hence it become that the training part within the corporate and the risk management training should become very strengthened within the corporate organization. I have recently researching on risk management implementation within the Indian insurance sector, and one of the things that came out after discussing the key people from key risk people within the those who are working in the insurance sector, that there is a very less focus on risk training within the corporates. That is a sign of a worry. Unless this is done, risk management embedding will remain a challenge, and this is what currently it is. First line need to develop what if mindset, smell the risk when it is brewing, because it is end of the day it is the first line who have to achieve the objective. It is them to ask the question what if. It is for them to see that where the risk is brewing and should have an idea that when the risk is brewing to mitigate the risk. Though the second line is to provide an oversight, it is also their responsibility to see that whether the risk which is brewing the first line has identified or not. But if it is only dependent on the first line, then the challenge become a very big challenge. Therefore, the risk management focus and the investment is required. Therefore, there is a need from the corporates that the risk management focus and the investment in the risk management is required. Need to create a defined path for the first line to avert the future crisis. If we want to avert the future crisis, things like 2008 economic crisis, things like COVID-19, of course, we see that climate risk is already brewing. How we are preparing for the climate risk, how first line is prepared for the climate risk, how does if the climate risk, if the elements of the climate risk crystallize tomorrow, if there's an excessive rain, how the business model is going to get affected for the different parts of the corporates, what is the mitigation plan. These are the brewing risk that one need to identify. So thank you from my side about on this the three line of defense model, that how important it is for the success of the enterprise risk management if ERM is to be successful. Otherwise it will remain an half baked enterprise risk management, or part of a silo risk management and part of a enterprise risk management. Thank you very much. You please share your feedback, that what you think about it, because this is a serious topic. Okay, bye bye till the time I prepare my next video. Bye.